Smile. Well, welcome to the 7 o'clock talk. And I forgot to bring the computer home, so we are on the telephone tonight. But before we get started, if you like our content, please do a subscribe on YouTube. That helps us out quite a bit. We're trying to get to 1,000 followers. And once we get to 1,000 followers, we are going to be giving away some great gifts. So please hit that subscribe button. It helps us out and it helps kind of get these messages out. And feel free to share these things with your loved ones. But tonight we're going to talk about blood sugar, diabetes, um, what you can do to monitor and help yourself, and kind of give you a way to really start to take control of your own blood sugars. So, I've been reading a book by Dr. Bernstein called The Diabetes Solution, and I'm getting ready to do the next installation of the blood work series for insulin. And one of the most important things to know as a root cause of lots of things is insulin resistance. Would you like to explain to them what insulin resistance is?
I'll let you do that.
There you go. There's your mic. So, well, she's going to let me do what insulin resistance is. If you think of the cell and you have glucose all around the cell, insulin tells the cell to open up and receive the sugar inside the cell. Then it goes into the mitochondria, and then eventually your body will turn that glucose into ATP. And when you get insulin resistant, basically the cell is already packed with glucose and it can receive no more. And as it receives no more glucose, then the body says, hey, we can't have all this glucose in the bloodstream. We need to get rid of it. And so then you increase, or the pancreas secretes more insulin to try to get this to open up and receive more sugar. It also wants the liver to accept more sugar. And then that's when you start to get fat in the liver, fatty liver. You get it in the viscera. And this can lead to lots of problems. What are the most common problems we see with insulin resistance?
Inflammation, liver dysfunction, lymphatic system issues, detox issues, weight gain, headaches,
Hormonal
mood,
issues.
hormones. Actually, there's so many symptoms that can be related to insulin resistance.
And it is truly, insulin resistance is truly a root cause of a lot of things. And we didn't actually even hit the most important thing that it causes, which is diabetes. Insulin resistance over a long period of time starts to allow the body to go into diabetes. And diabetes is medically defined as blood sugars over 126. So they stay high. Um, and so what we want to do is give you some tools to actually start to monitor your own blood sugar, and then things that you can do to help control it. But this is one of those things that is so vitally important. So, what do you remember what the regular insulin reading is for lab work? What they say it is medically?
Um, 5.5 or less, I believe.
For insulin, I thought that was, I thought insulin's 26. I think you're thinking of A1C, aren't you? You want 5.5 or less on the A1C, because once you hit 6 to 7, you're considered pre-diabetic and diabetic. Look it up.
So I think it's trying to think what my nephew was because he was 0.1
22.
under. I think it's 24.6 or something like that.
Okay.
But if that's the case, you were 8 and I was 11, so we were nowhere near anywhere.
Yeah, but so optimal ranges of insulin are fasting, so you haven't had a meal in 8 hours,
I'll look it up.
fasting is between 3 and 4. You definitely want it less than 6. Libby's hitting our stand that's holding our phone.
Mhm.
So definitely less than 6. And so once you start to get up into that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ranges, you start to do cardiovascular damage. We start to see problems with insulin resistance and that slow burn. We start to see high triglycerides. We see cholesterol start to get off and things of that nature. So one of the important things while she looks up what the medical range for insulin is, because they let it get real high. But one of the important things for you guys to think about is how can you monitor your blood sugars without sticking your finger all the time? She's got it.
Yeah, but this is really not a range, honestly. For adults, 2 to 25 is what they
Yeah.
consider normal. So that's medical ranges. That's not an optimal range. Let's look at that.
Optimal's 3 to 4. I know that one cold. So the optimal range is that 3 to 4, and that's as it's kind of done by consensus. And the people that actually say that that's right is Dr. Mark Hyman,
Optimal
Peter
is less than
Attia.
10.
That's still medical.
I didn't put in medical, but that
Yeah.
optimal holistic range is, they say on the internet, is less than 10.
Yeah. So if you read Dr. Hyman's work, if you read Dr. Attia's work, if you read these guys that actually really work with this and do this all the time, they're saying that the optimal range fasting is between 3 and 4. Definitely less than 6. But once you start to get higher than 6, like I said, that's not good. Now, we don't have a device that actually allows us to read insulin levels. And so the only way to get an insulin level is to go to your doctor, have somebody like Jessica or me or another doctor pull your insulin, pull your blood, send it in to get an insulin read. Now, what you can use as a proxy is blood sugar. And so fasting blood sugar, what were you looking up anything else to give to the
Oh,
people?
just the functional range. Optimal ranges are between 5 to 15 or 5 to 12. That's what they're saying optimal ranges for a functional medical lab test should be.
That's not what we were taught in the IFM.
I understand. I'm just sharing with you what the internet says. It's just the internet.
Yeah.
It's Google.
Yeah, it's too wide of a range. Let's put it that way. So with that being said, the next thing to do is start to how can we give you tools so that you can monitor this? And so a lot of people who want to have optimal health don't have the option, or didn't until now, have the option to use a constant glucose monitor without great expense to themselves. The first time I did this on myself, it was like $1,500 to get started and then a couple $100 each month to get my sensors.
And you had to see a doctor and get a script. Like you can't, when we started using these, you couldn't just buy them. You had to have a reason for wanting one, and you had to have a prescription to order them.
And so just a couple of weeks ago, Aura came out and said, hey, you can actually order the Stilo constant glucose monitors and monitor your own blood sugar and start to work on yourself. Yes, ma'am.
Well, and Stilo is actually created, it's a subsidy of Dexcom. And we've also used Libre, and Libre also has a program that if you're just wanting to monitor your health, you can utilize those as well. But this one actually integrates with your Aura Ring.
It integrates with the Aura Ring, and it also is a standalone. So you don't have to have the Aura Ring. We actually use the Aura Ring, and we buy it through the Aura Ring. But for you guys that want to follow your blood sugars and optimize your health, you do not have to have an Aura Ring.
No, and this is the most economical one we have found, and it's about the size of
It's the Dexcom.
It's about the size of maybe a quarter. It's very low profile. I will say, just so that you're aware, if you have very oily skin or you sweat a lot, um, it tends to cause a problem with them sticking. So just be aware and reinforce it when you first put it on. And if you're hard on things or you're rolling around or you're in and out and you're rubbing yourself on certain things, make sure you really reinforce that well so it doesn't get grabbed and ripped off. He went through 2 or 3 in a matter of like 3 days.
And so the cost of these is actually $100 for the entire month. So you're looking at about a little more than $3 a day for the typical month.
And also, if you have a partner and you're just curious to see how your blood sugars are running, really 2 weeks is probably a sufficient time to see if you have a really good diet and you're not going to change anything and you just want to know if there's something that you need to tweak in your diet. Most of the time in 2 weeks, you'll see mostly everything that you're going to eat, and you can share these. So they're not registered to just one person. You can buy a set of 2, and each person they're good for two weeks.
We have no stake in this. We make no money off of this. So if you don't like that situation, talk to Stilo and Dexcom.
And they do work. So Dexcom, I had a problem with just the original Dexcom. It would not connect to the Android phones. Libre worked beautiful with both, and this one worked great also.
And this one works great with the Apple. We got a dead sensor, which they did replace on her, and then once we put the new sensor on, it was great. So for $100 for a month, great investment in your health. So now let's give you some metrics. We told you about insulin, but insulin doesn't tell you what these things do. So what your blood sugar should be optimally when you are fasted, your blood sugar should be between 75 and 85 milligrams per deciliter. So when you put this on and you're fasted, that's what it should read. Typically, you want to read it a couple of hours after you get up, before you eat, to see where you're at, because there is the dawn effect, which gives you a little spike of cortisol, which will give you a little spike of sugar, and that'll raise it. So fasting between 75 and 85. You never want to see it go above
140 is what they say. If you ask a medical doctor, we don't cover them until after you go over 150. But just for tidbits, a lot of people that work outside in the heat, you remember, stress is stress. It doesn't matter if you're sitting outside sunning yourself. What stress is stress to the body. So we have learned that certain people react differently to things. So for people that work out in the heat, they may have high blood sugar the entire time they're outside in the heat, even though you're not doing anything to actually stress your body out. That's just your body's reaction to the heat. So you learn so much about how you uniquely work and how your blood sugar works. So you are not necessarily a diabetic because you're outside working in the heat and your blood sugars are high until you stop and come back in.
If your blood sugars go high and go crazy high, you need to test the thyroid and the thyroid antibodies, because that's something that this can show you and tell you. But when you eat, your blood sugar should go up and spike, should never go over 140. We ate out and did everything we wanted to in West Virginia with these things on, and it never went over 140.
He did. I did not, because I did not have one.
I didn't go over 140. I got 130.
I know. I just said I was not monitoring myself.
Yes.
Anyway, I got mine a little later. So.
And so you never want to see it go over 140. If you have eaten and your blood sugar spikes and goes over 140, you need to pay attention to what you ate, because that is something that you should probably not eat again. Potatoes, specifically hash browns, took me up to a 130 and that was more than what I wanted to see. So you should never go over 140, and you should really, Dr. Bernstein says in his diabetes solution. So we're talking about, oops, we're talking about a guy who has lived with type 1 diabetes his entire life, and he lived well into his 80s or 90s before he passed. So that is way past what a type 1 diabetic typically lives. And a lot of your new programs where they're using a short acting and a long acting, and you're taking multiple blood sugars a day, a lot of that is actually based off of Dr. Bernstein's work. So he says it should never go below 65, and it should never go above 140. And you really don't want to see more than a 40-point excursion anytime you do anything. And then once it peaks after you eat, about 30 to 45 minutes, then it should come down, and it shouldn't drop down below where you started. So if you want to monitor yourself with these things, these are the metrics that you need. You need to know that it should never go above 140. You should be in, I don't eat breakfast. And so I go to work, and about an hour after I get to work, my blood sugar runs in the 80s. Then after I eat, it'll go up to about 100 to 110. So I get about 20 points. And then it drops back down to that 90 to 80 to 90 range after a couple of hours. And that's the thing that you want to see, is that slope back. You do not want to see super sharp rises, and you definitely don't want to see super sharp rise with a very precipitous crash.
Yeah, and if you're eating and you're going high, and then you're going down and below that range where you're got low hypoglycemia, then you have a insulin response it's too high, and so it's releasing more insulin than really needed, and then it's bringing that blood sugar down really fast below normal. And what happens is that in the body it triggers, I need to eat, and so then you eat. So you're constantly bouncing high to low, because your body is not regulating the insulin properly.
And so the major cause for super sharp peaks and then super sharp crashes are simple carbohydrates or non-complex carbohydrates. If you need help with managing that, that's actually where we come in. You can try keto, you can do carnivore, you can do paleo, you can do a strict vegetarian vegan. I'm not a fan of that way.
Well, and we're going to share with you what we
Go right
did.
ahead.
And is that where you were going with this?
Yeah.
So we noticed that I have inflammation. I have a big problem with inflammation. And so we tested ourselves, and we realized that we were a little higher than we wanted to be. And we were going to do something about it. Well, we went to the extreme. And we did that because we had these sensors, and
We want to see what happens.
we wanted to see what happened. And we had a family member that his insulin was almost diabetic range. He's at 0.1 under. And he asked how could he get that down quickly. And so we're not a fan.
No.
We are definitely not a fan since we've tried it. And I would definitely be cautious about doing it. But we said, well, you could go on the carnivore diet. Now, we have friends, Amy Rawls will tell you straight up, she's also not a fan. She is a master dietitian, and she doesn't believe you should cut out any food groups. And we agree with her. However, we had these, and we wanted to do an experiment on ourselves. So we thought we would try the carnivore diet. I said we would do it for 2 weeks. We will do it for 2 weeks. I would rather fast. I'm not a meat eater. People that should not do that are people that have
Kidney issues
or liver issues.
Yeah.
The protein is, for some people, can be very harmful. So we started the carnivore diet last Sunday, a week ago Sunday.
I'll just be honest. I can't get down with meat only. I have added onions. I have added peppers to whatever I make.
I am
She is a lot more
I
stringent than I am.
I am strict. I have been strict. However, you can eat eggs, any animal products. So eggs, um, certain cheeses in moderation, uh, full fat yogurt, full fat cottage cheese, or full, not cottage cheese, full fat sour cream, um, proteins, animal fats, and I'm missing some eggs. I cannot stand eggs, honestly. I'm very sensitive to eggs in if I eat too many. I absolutely hate meat. I can't eat beef. My dog follows me around because I think I'm going to eat my dinner and I create it and then my dog gets to eat it. I am not a meat eater. I don't like it. It gags me to at this point, but I have 3 or 4 more days to go. And but it did drop our blood sugars down, mine beautifully, and they stay beautiful except in the heat. But they're not out of range. It really helped yours.
Yeah, my blood sugars dropped it to in the 70s and 80s almost immediately, and I can eat complex carbohydrates and it doesn't give me a problem. Potatoes just are a no-no for me. The first day I ate potatoes with ketchup on them, and that was the biggest spike I'd ever gotten. So
Probably from the
ketchup
ketchup.
is a no-go.
We will
Then I
probably
wanted to test it again, and I went with straight hash browns, and the hash browns themselves pumped me up about 20 points.
and we will probably do before we get rid of these. We will probably do a just a test and make our potatoes resistant, and that you can do that by boiling them and then putting them in the refrigerator just to see if it makes a difference. But you're supposed to eliminate coffee.
Oh no, I haven't done that.
I don't drink coffee every day, and I haven't drank coffee every day. However, we did make our coffee with raw milk cream,
Yep,
and I added
we used our
some.
pet food.
We used our pet food, and we put a little bit of almond extract, a little bit of vanilla, and some cinnamon. It was absolutely fabulous tasting, and it did not even move 1 point.
Yeah,
It was straight across. So we're not saying that we believe in this diet. We have
it's a
never done the
tool.
diet, so we decided we would try it. Um, I don't know if you could sustain yourself, and
I couldn't.
I could not. He is a meat eater, and after a week, he was like, "No, no."
I need some complex carbohydrates.
I eat with my eyes, so I want colors on my plate. I'll continue to. I think we'll move up to keto after Saturday or Sunday, whenever our time is
Probably
up.
more of a paleo for you. You're saying keto, but we're probably not going to go to fat. We'll
Oh,
go
no.
go paleo and
I need
higher
vegetables,
fiber.
and then we'll just eat. We'll spend another 2 weeks eating through our regular things that we like, and then just eliminating the things that spike our blood sugar. Collaborate and figure out what a meal is for us. But these are and we say all that to say these are tools that will help you manage your lifestyle uniquely to you and figure out how your body works for you. I would not go right out and invest in one of these. I've said it a lot. Once you have figured out a diet that makes you feel good and you feel like you are functioning the way that you want to and you have your sleep on point, that's when you want to add something like this so that you can actually see what's working and what's not working, and figure out how to manage it. I don't know if I would just run right out, unless I will say, unless you haven't done anything and you just want to know how your actual diet is working, and then I would use it to tweak it.
I think about the constant glucose monitors. Once again, I'll probably still I like the accountability. This keeps me from doing dumb stuff, and I am prone to doing dumb stuff. I I do like fast food. So if I'm not monitoring this and I don't see damage happen, like I don't see the blood sugar spikes, to me, it's no harm, no
I
foul.
don't know how he likes fast food. You couldn't pay me to eat fast food.
But if when I see that, when I use a tool like a constant glucose monitor, then I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the excursion into the 140s because the science, the actual research shows that once you're getting into those excursions and you're going up above 140, this is when you are causing lots of damage. You're getting into that insulin resistance. You're getting into if you're not diabetic, you're going to become diabetic. And if you, I really wish we could measure insulin, because if you can measure insulin, insulin goes high before the blood sugar goes high.
So to bring this home for a lot of our friends, family, and patients, a lot of people are having infertility issues for lots of reasons. PCOS is a huge one.
Yep.
And we always tell everybody, please don't mortgage your house for a
Oh
baby
God, no.
before
Oh God, no.
before you change your diet. And all of our patients that got their diet on point, whether they were trying for an additional child or not, they conceived. So for people that are suffering with PCOS, that's inflammation and insulin resistance driven.
To a T.
And usually, if you can change your diet, your hormones come back, and you usually are capable of conceiving without investing your life savings. And this right here can really help you.
So we have a comment on YouTube from somebody named Louis the 14th that says quacks or ... So I assume that's a troll name for Louis the 14th because we don't have any monarchs here. And since we don't know, it's actually science. It's using Dexcom. This is what the medical doctors use.
And that doesn't offend us. We will
Yeah.
tell you, we are self-proclaimed nerds.
Yep.
We run down all the rabbit holes. We travel all over the place. We sit with the MDs.
Well, we're highly trained nerds.
Well, yeah, we sit with the MDs. We sit with the holistic providers, the functional providers, and they've put in the time for years and done the science.
Yep.
So, I mean, you can call us names, but if you are hurting or you feel bad or you just need somebody to help you, we are your people, because we specifically, I will run down all the rabbit holes. I am a nurse. I am a registered nurse. I am very happy to be a part of the medical field. It is my passion. I do not believe in the pharmaceutical side of that. And when I no longer feel good about the things I'm delivering to people, and I feel like I'm harming them, which I know I have because of the last few years, I'll step out.
Operating procedure.
But there is a place for everything. There's a seat at the table for every single person in every single field, and we believe in it. We see it. We absolutely help the people that come to see us, and we're very passionate about people's health.
Yep.
We don't tell people not to go see their primary care physicians.
Oh no,
We don't tell people to not take their prescriptions. We want to work with the other with the whole community, and
we want to get you off or eliminate.
It doesn't bother us.
Correctly. Yeah. That's the big thing is doing this sensibly. And so that's what we're about. So let's see, just trying to separate the wheat from the chaff. Lots of disinformation out there. Could you elaborate on the scientific background? Much appreciated. Well, I think she just hit hers with being an RN. I'm actually a chiropractor, and I didn't like what I was getting. As I was doing chiropractic, biomechanically, I could affect people. After the biomechanics, going into the physiology, chiropractic doesn't affect that well enough for me.
Well, and I mean, we
Hold
are,
on, let me
okay,
finish.
go ahead.
So then I went back to school, and I went back to school for the Institute for Functional Medicine because I'm not a big person for drugs. I see so many people on average come into the clinic and they start on one or two drugs, and then it goes to six, then it goes to eight. And the average person that walks into my practice is on 8 drugs. And so I don't prescribe. I can't prescribe in the state of Indiana. But I knew there were things that I could do through lifestyle medicine. And that's why I went back to the Institute for Functional Medicine, because there I was trained by MDs, MD PhDs on how to actually affect health through lifestyle and through using nutrition and using supplements. I'm not a big fan of green pharmacy. I really want people to do, we're a food first clinic. So if you follow Mark Hyman, he was one of my teachers at the IFM. Um, it's, it's food first. And that's where we try to go with it. Sorry, I cut you off. So go ahead.
Well, and I went through the A4M, and even though he went through all the training, I read a lot of the stuff that he went through.
She suffered through it
and
with
we
me.
do it together. Hormones are very passionate for me, but food actually is our first medications.
Yep.
And we used herbs and plants and things like that from nature, and pharmaceuticals try to mimic that. And I guess that's our big point here is the body will heal itself, but I also understand you called us quacks. We have lots of friends that go to lots of other people that lots of other people call quacks, and that it gives everybody a bad name. I don't necessarily agree with every little therapy from all of these little holistic providers. However, just because I don't believe in it, I've also have never experienced it, so I don't know if it is good or bad, and I probably wouldn't call it good or bad. You can go get your iris read. You can go get your magnetic field tested. You can go have your aura looked at. And I mean, I guess if that's what you're calling quacks, I think that you have levels of quality of MDs, you have quality of all kinds of professionals, but you have to pick it apart and whatever works for you, because let's face it, your body is uniquely yours, and what might heal your body may not heal his body, and if it works for you, I'm going to tell you to go for it.
Absolutely. And so this science, and that's, you can't read the top of it, that's Dexcom. They came out with CGMs as one of the first people. And all we're saying is this is a great tool. And before somebody starts insulin and the big rounds of that stuff, try to figure it out yourself or try to help yourself. Because once you start insulin, it's a rough road, and you lose toes, feet, ankles, knees, and it's not pretty. And we've worked in the nursing homes and seen it firsthand. And blood sugar and insulin is very deadly, number one. And number two, pretty easy to control, depending on how long you've been running with the devil on that one.
Well, and I worked at the bedside for 13 and a half years. I worked almost every department in the hospital. At some point in time, I came from an acute med surge floor. That was my home the entire 13 and a half years. I floated to the ICU and the emergency department on a regular basis, and I loved it. However, they will tell you if you are a diabetic, you will be a diabetic for your whole life. And that is absolutely not true. But also, if you are a diabetic, you should not be eating sugar. So
Yeah.
you shouldn't eat the sugar and then cover it. You should just not eat the sugar. Like if you are a diabetic, you should absolutely be watching carbs and you should absolutely not be adding sugar to your diet. However, bariatric surgeries, most of the people that get bariatric surgery are diabetics. And within a few weeks to months after that surgery, they are no longer diabetics. They no longer take insulin or any other medication for that. It is diet controlled. So you absolutely have power over your health. And we are just trying to give you the information that you can take control of your health so that you aren't suffering in the future and relying on physicians and medications, and you're not in a house or a
Hill
home
parade.
in a chair where you have no choices, where you have no power and you have no independence, because we believe everybody should be living their best life their entire life, and we are here to empower you to do it.
And so when you do research on the internet, and if you do research on insulin and insulin resistance, because type 2 diabetes is actually insulin resistance taken to the endpoint. There's a lot of information out there, and I was listening to 3 doctors talk about Dr. Bernstein's book and saying, you know, it's saturated fat that causes this, and that you shouldn't eat saturated fats. And they were talking about doing and Dr. Bernstein actually talks about doing a carbohydrate diet and eliminate the saturated fats. They didn't read the same book I read, because Dr. Bernstein actually doesn't say that. He is a proponent of protein and fat, good complex carbohydrates, and that's the way that he goes. But he is very, very protein and fat centric. So when you hear about that, take that with a grain of salt, because you actually do need some saturated fats to make your hormones. And the flip side of this is if you don't control insulin, then you will oxidize your fats, and your body can't use oxidized fat to make your hormone. That's why your liver actually starts to kick out more cholesterol. And so that cholesterol that you see, people who have been insulin resistant for a long time will have triglyceride issues, they'll have cholesterol issues, and that's because that fat that we talked about earlier has infiltrated the liver, has infiltrated the organs, and you really have to start to control that and bring that down.
So Louis asking a question. He's actually from Holland. So
Okay. So would this pass the European regulations?
I have no idea, Louis, because
They're
I
quite different.
know nothing about Europe.
American and European.
We wish
There
we
is-
lived there though, because
yeah,
you're
your
much
food
healthier
system
from
is better.
us.
Yeah. If you have a problem with blood sugars, you're probably eating Western food. But let's just back up a second. I'm not sure what the standards are. You don't measure blood sugar in milligrams per deciliter. You measure it in millimoles. And so you'll have to actually do the conversion. Google and whatnot will actually tell you that stuff. And they make the conversions. The numbers that I talk about, they pass muster. Yes, that's not the problem. The problem is we're talking in milligrams per deciliter, and you guys talk in millimoles per nanoliter or something like that.
And do you live currently in Holland, or are you in Europe And I'm curious to know if you also have a diabetic issue in your community, because I would I would hope and think that you didn't have it um, as much as this country has
And
it.
let's actually back up, because I have been attacked on the glucose video that we did. So if you're on YouTube and you go look at our Integrated Health of Indiana, I did a glucose blood work deep dive, where it started and all that stuff. And I started getting some hate from the carnivore crew. And the problem with the carnivore crew is this: they only think about Americans. And if you take the healthiest countries in the world, America is 35th. We're the only ones that have all these crazy diets. The healthiest countries also follow mostly the Mediterranean diet.
Well, and they're eating their own food. I mean, and they moderate their food intake, and but they are also not bombarded with the chemicals and the sugars
The
that are
amount of
added
sugar.
in
Yeah.
the processed food that we have.
So to answer your question, Louis, not quite sure. You're more than welcome to follow up with an email, drmiller@integratedhealthofindiana.com. You can pick it up off of the website or whatnot. I'll be happy to answer emails and get whatever questions answered for you that I can. But yes, European medical laws and American medical laws are much different. Partly so they lost a family member due to diabetes. Trying to find out more about cures, possible cures. If you can get a hold of a constant glucose monitor, well, okay, first off, let's just back up real quick. When we have patients that we work with in functional medicine, there are 5 pillars to health: sleep, and you want to be getting 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. Good sleep, sleep not medicated. That sleep will resensitize your cells to glucose on par with metformin. You can go to PubMed, type in sleep and insulin resistance, and it will start to walk you right down the path. Next is nutrition. We are whole food people. When we were eating in West Virginia, I was eating omelets with veggies inside it, with a hollandaise sauce, and it did nothing to my blood sugar. When I ate the hash browns, it messed me up.
And we eat at farm to table, so where they are, we try to eat at farm to table where they locally source them, high quality food from the farmers that ideally are using organic grown food without pesticides.
And so, with that being said, the less, you know, people long time ago used to be hunter gatherers, and they ate organic and they didn't have pollution. And what they die of? They didn't die of cardiovascular disease like we do. They died from infectious diseases. They died from cuts, and they died from and what were other things way back in the day that killed people. You know, it was the infectious diseases.
They died from flu and viruses and things like that.
And so we don't die from that today. Yes, I do. I am a board certified chiropractor. But I can't prescribe medications. She can talk about medications because she is a nurse and her license allows her to. And so, lifestyle, nutrition. Next is movement. Get out and move. You know, it doesn't require you going and doing CrossFit. It requires you not being sitting here for hours on end. We're sitting here for 45 minutes now talking to you. When we get done, well, it's about bedtime for us because I go to bed around 8 o'clock because I get up around 5:30, 6 o'clock, 6:30 at the latest. So that is movement. And I'm always, when I track movement with the Aura Ring, I am always in the 99th percentile for movement. Next is stress. Stress is brutal. You can tell with a constant glucose monitor when you get stressed because it doesn't spike up, it slowly just ticks up
Well,
because you're getting ready for fight or flight.
and remember, stress is anything that stresses your body. It doesn't have to be physical or mental stress. It can be just riding in a hot car, anything that stresses your body. And this is really good
It could
at
be in an
showing you
argument.
all the stresses.
Yeah. Argument, paying bills,
Pain.
pain, dealing with
Peace.
insurance companies.
Yeah, it shows you how you react to your environment, whatever that is.
Yep. And then last but not least is, what is your community or the community around you? And you need to have loving, supportive people. I mean, nobody's perfect, so nobody's going to be loving all the time or perfect all the time. But you need to have that more so than you need to have, I call them the schlep rocks or the negative ninnies. If you're just around negative ninnies and whatnot all the time, it's just draining and it absolutely kills you. A place I would tell you to go, Louis, to kind of learn on how I was trained and we were trained is the ifm.org, and you can see the medical doctors that treat that and where they go. That's actually why we do work with medical doctors, because pharmaceuticals do have a place. And do we get everybody off of all of their insulin? No, but we get people from off of, when they're going for glipizide and metformin and they're taking a third and maybe a little shot of insulin. For those people that have been diabetics for longer than 10 to 15 years, we can usually take them from 4 down to 2 or 3. But you got to remember IFM, Institute for Functional Medicine, IFM. So when you're looking at, and now I'm thinking about the IFM. What was I totally spaced it.
I don't know.
So anyway, look up and see if you can do see if you can get a Dexcom. Oh, I know where I was going. It's that slow burn of higher insulin levels. And Dr. Bernstein, in his book, The Diabetes Solution, and that book's actually kind of old, but it was resisted heavily by the medical profession. But that book gives you a lot of information on when you have higher insulin levels, just the insidiousness of what that does to the body, and insulin resistance, what that does to the body. High insulin levels, you got to remember, insulin is an anabolic hormone. And in being such, it allows all cells to grow. This includes bad cells like cancer and stuff like that. Yes, Institute for Functional Medicine, ifm.org. So when you're looking at all of those things and what insulin resistance causes and what high insulin or even moderately high insulin levels cause, it's super dangerous and super insidious. So
I got something to say. Louis, first of all, I'm sorry to hear that you lost a family member.
Sorry about that, bud.
It's always hard to lose somebody, and it's always hard to lose somebody when you maybe could have helped them to change their lifestyle and live longer. I don't know what that situation was. So I do feel for you. That is no fun. Secondly, thank you for taking us down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what your situation is. I don't know if you're single or if you have a spouse or if you have family, but you've seen our big brown dog here. So if you don't, get yourself a big brown dog, because they're community. They also help you move because they always want you with them, and they reduce stress. So you live longer when you have a pet. And that is the reason why people live longer that have a pet, because they move, they have less stress, and they have companionship.
Yep. And I would say that um, go read Dr. Bernstein's book. You can get that off of Amazon. I got it off of Audible, and it has a PDF with it. The numbers that I talk about are the numbers that he actually talks about, other than the actually tighter insulin levels. I think he kind of falls into what she says of that up to 6, but he says that the tighter you are, the lower you are, the better you are. And then start there, get a glucose monitor, and just be an observer at first and see what things happen. And then if your blood sugars are great and you do an insulin test and a fasting insulin test, and that's great, and you still have like issues or problems, that's when you start to look at things like, what do your hormones look like? What's your microbiome look like? What kind of shape are your mitochondria in? You can tell that from an organic acids test. And so then you start to dig down or go down those other rabbit holes. But as we say, I I would tell most people to actually start doing this before you seek out a functional medicine doctor, MD, DC, naturopath, whatever the case may be.
And another thing that I would suggest, if you, I don't know where you're at. I don't know if you're in the United States. Um, we start all of our patients out currently with enzymes because of the standard American diet.
It's crap.
It's garbage. There's no nutrition in it, and most people don't digest it. And so, um, our patients turn around very quickly. And Transformation Enzymes has a wonderful program called Thrive in 63. It's 3 parts.
We're not employees.
Yeah, we aren't employees.
We use the product.
We use the product. I use the product. We believe in the product, and we don't provide our patients with any products that we haven't already used. We don't suggest diets or anything else unless we do it. So here we are on the carnivore diet.
Carnivore diet.
Suffering through it, but doing it just the same. Anyway,
he's in
try,
the Netherlands.
and I don't know. You can look it up. They may or may not ship there. You might have something similar. It's called Transformation Enzymes. Thrive in 63. It's 3 sets of 21 days. It's actually a beautiful program, very self-explanatory. I come from the nursing field. We provide everything at a 5th grade level. It was super easy to understand. It has a journal. It has the little tick the box off that I took it. It has a place that how you feel, what did you eat, what it allows you to track. Gives you menus. It gives you grocery lists. And if you can't find that, reach out to us or see what you can find in your own area. But most people need enzymes.
Yep.
That program has it comes with all of the enzymes that you need for the 21 days. Each program has their own. It uses a protease product. It uses a digestive aid. It has they call it gastrozyme or gastro.
Pancreatic enzymes.
Yep. And then there is a probiotic.
Yep.
And that just, we start everybody there. It is so wonderful for the body, and it really does help them feel better faster, along with an elimination diet. It does have its own diet. It's not as strict as an elimination diet. So I really liked it for our patients because it was something I feel like they could do easily. And if they were still having problems, then the elimination diet was just a small step, forward on a different plan. And they didn't feel like they were going from here to here. They were going from here to here.
I think if you use a coupon code DR Miller, all in caps, they give you 10% off on your enzymes on like the first order or something like that too.
But if you have any questions, reach out to us. We're here to help. We'll answer any questions. And if we don't know the answer, we will chase the answer for you.
Just as a side note, you say you're in the Netherlands and Europe. I played soccer many years ago in Ermelo, Holland, on the American Ambassadors team. I absolutely love that area. So, just to play devil's advocate, it seems like you guys found a mysterious gap in the market and have some kind of miracle pancreas. And how would you convince a natural skeptic like me? Oh, that's easy. Just follow the diet.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with us. It's everything to do with the
Yeah,
body.
you don't have to worry about us if you, I mean, for most of our patients or people that call us that can't afford a holistic care provider, we send them to the enzymes. We don't get anything from that. That's all self-guided, and you be your own skeptic. Try it.
Yeah, and that's why I say use something like this, because blood sugar is one of the things you need to know, and you don't need to know at a spot in time. You need to know how it does linearly. You got to know how it does in series, and it's a one-shot application, painless. And I'm a big wuss when it comes to needles, so I'm wearing it on my stomach, and it's super simple and inexpensive.
And so the way the enzymes work, I mean, most disease is fueled by inflammation. And so protease reduces inflammation, gastro closes the tight junctions of the gut. Digest helps you digest the food that you're consuming so that you can actually utilize the nutrition in it. And then, of course, the probiotic supports the gut and the microbiome.
So the other thing to think about is if you're eating out of packages, if you're eating chips, I don't care if it comes in a package and it's semi-soft, that has emulsifiers in it. And those emulsifiers emulsify fat. The lining of your gut is fat, and that's what breaks it down. And so that's when you break the gut down, that secretory IgA layer inside the gut, then that allows for other things to get into the bloodstream and faster. So if your gut is a problem, then you really need to also work on that. But it's super simple to work on. Bone broths, real butter, real food. That starts to do that. Yeah, we don't have the market cornered on something. We're not espousing some sort of miracle cure, other than, if eating real food and more like a couple of generations ago's ancestors, it seems it works for us, and it works for our hundreds of patients. So it's not something that it's not complex. In America, our society makes it complex.
Well, the body is super complex and super simple all at the same time. Give it what it needs.
It wants to
Simple
heal.
ingredients, and it wants to heal. And we are very passionate about learning and bringing that to our patients. But again, we use this stuff on ourselves. We don't claim to be perfect. I'm overweight. I have inflammation issues. I also have had a lot of fun in my lifetime and have a lot of metal. Can't get rid of that. But we use this with our family, our children, ourselves, and our patients. But we never give anything to our patients that we actually haven't tried ourselves.
Absolutely. So yes, I played in Ermelo, Holland, and I played Southampton. Well, that was in England. Southampton was in England. I got to see an Ajax game, Ajax football game. That was cool. So, yep, super neat. Love your country. It's beautiful. I really want to take her over there because I think she would just be in love. But to wrap this up, because we are going on an hour, sorry if we've.
Thanks, Louie.
Yeah, thanks for the questions. Highly recommend getting Stelo. Once again, we make no money off of this. This is a constant glucose monitor that's come out in the last couple of weeks. It's $100 a month. I think it's $115 after taxes. You can monitor your own blood sugar and start to see what affects you when and how. And that's one of the first steps into really just taking control of your own health and living your best life, which is what we want for everybody. We're living our best life.
We're trying to.
So, well, I'd say nothing really stops us.
No, we're always trying to become better, but
Yeah.
we are truly living our best life.
So, with that all said, Louie, it was a pleasure meeting you. Your country is beautiful. I hope to get back there someday. And to the rest of you, have a great night. If you have any questions, reach out. Her email is Mrs. Indiana Backdock, MRS Indiana Backdock at gmail.com. I am Dr. Miller at Integrated Health of Indiana. One last question here.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome, Louie. Thank you.
And have a great evening.